All right, Mike, you are live.
All right, appreciate it. So everyone, welcome to the Diamond Masterclass. Obviously, this is not just exclusively for Diamond players, but I think that seeing as we're nearing the end of the season, I do want to mostly cater it to the Diamond players that are looking to get their champ rewards for the first time or to repeat their success in securing said champ rewards. So I think it was a good opportunity to do that because I think we have about 2.5 or 3 weeks before the season ends. So it's a good time to really make that last push. And so, with that said, we're going over the format of today, and the format is going to be quite simple. We're going to be going over two replays from people that sent them to me. We'll be going over some, let's say, basic gameplay tips that we can try to apply to all of our games and see if that will help us to make the push. And for the replay reviews, I would like participation for taking questions. So if I'm explaining something and it's really unclear, you can find a tasteful way to interject it and just ask me to explain it in more detail or explain it a different way. I'm fine with that. And if you would like me to go over a certain part of the play in more detail, then save it for after the replay and then just give me the in-game timestamp of when you would like me to go over in more detail. So preferably the actual game clock. That would just be easiest for everyone to follow. And then afterwards, we will be going over some ground mechanics for 30 minutes. And I have about 10 minutes for each different ground mechanic I think would be very helpful for training, but also to implement in-game. And then another 30 minutes for aerial mechanics. And then, as I alluded to earlier before we went live, we have some lovely assistants that we can go over some of the stuff. And then it might be valuable to watch them trying to execute the mechanics because maybe you can. It's easier for you to put yourself in their shoes. So if you see how they're struggling, you can be like, "Oh yeah, this is how I struggle as well when I'm training," and then it might make the learning process a little bit more approachable. And with that said, do we have any questions before we get started? I think the silence speaks for itself. I think we'll get into the first replay. So our first replay was sent to us by Shiva, one of our lovely tournament organizers for the EU side. Making a lot of progress recently as well, so this is going to be a pretty cool one. So we have Shiva with a close cheat. And so this is one of the common mistakes that you see probably across a lot of ranks. So there's a few ways that you can go about this. If you do not see any ways of playing it around the opponent, whether it's left or right, I think left or right doesn't really matter. Although I think from Shiva's POV, it's probably easier to go this side so you can hit it to the left. That's fine. But if you do not see an avenue to do that, the best way to make sure that you do not have this ball pop straight over your head towards your net is to single jump into the ball where you're aiming for pretty much anywhere here on the ball, and then delay your flip as long as possible. So the idea is basically you jump into it, you make brief contact with the ball, and as soon as you make contact, that's when you flip into it. And that is usually a sure-proof way of making sure that the ball does not fly straight over your head. So this could almost have been a straight goal, but it did not go far enough for the other person to take advantage of it, so that's fine. Very nice catch from Shiva, but unfortunately does barely drop the dribble. And now we are out of the play, so this is still okay because teammate bails us out. Very nice patience here. So this is a little bit dicey because Shiva is crossing the back post here. And the back post is not always, it's not like it's illegal to cross the back post, but this is a good position to be in if you intend to actually challenge this. So depending on how heads up you are in the play, you can either push the play very aggressively because you see the center coming. Otherwise, just holding the distance and waiting for the shot is the better way to play it if you're not ready. So we're going to see, shot comes in, Shiva covers it. But unfortunately, the recovery was just a bit off, so he can't get another touch on the ball.
Yeah, one of the coaches is doing
Pretty
it.
good touch, and that's a
Replay
pass to the
review.
teammate. Very good stuff so far from Shiva. So overall, in terms of how fast Shiva's playing relatively fast for the rank. That's what you like to see. Maybe just a little bit more follow-up on some of the touches, but I mean, we're only 30 seconds in, so we can't really say too much off of 30 seconds. Ooh, very, very aggressive touch. So this is generally another place where I think people again at multiple ranks struggle with is when do you let go of the play versus when do you not do that. So I would say there's a few things that we can address in this play. Is number one, I think if you're going to cheat on the double diagonal, which I'm completely fine with and I am actually a big proponent of, that you do not do the wave dash because while the wave dash is generally a very good mobility option, it is slower than the flip in terms of the recovery time. So the reason why wave dashes are very good is because you don't actually have to commit to them. So if you, let's say you're watching the play and then you're jumping and then you see that you don't need the extra speed, you can just not wave dash and land on the ground. But we can see that by the time that Shiva actually lands on the ground after the wave dash, the kickoff impact has already happened. And that's a big problem because that means that Shiva is not reading the rebound and not positioning for the rebound, but instead just making sure, just moving around. So generally, if you're going to cheat on a double diagonal, my preference would just be to flip relatively early and just flip hard left because you already have a nice healthy distance when you're roughly here on the map. But then if we do make this mistake, we have to really be fast here and see what kind of shot does our opponent have. And so our opponent is going not going super wide on this play, but the opponent is just going to try to touch this ball as fast as possible. And then we have all these different outcomes of where the ball could go, but none of them in this play right now is going straight to our net. And that's a very big important piece of information because we don't actually have to commit to this ball. We are going to put ourselves in a bad position by not challenging this, but it's a position that we're not conceding in. So I think that it's the lesser of two evils in trying to dive in on this. And then this should be a goal. Yeah.
I'm just making sure the stream's out okay.
Nice try. Pretty decent kickoff. Not bad. All right, so Shiva is kind of fishing with low boost. And so this is a very tricky thing, and I've seen Shiva do this many times in the tournament, bless his soul. But if you're going to be playing the low boost route after the kickoff, the most important thing is to actually conserve the boost. So all these paths that Shiva's picking up right now, you can't be using to get closer to the play. So the most important thing to be doing as Shiva is to make sure that you establish one thing before you decide to flip. And that is anyone going to do anything with the ball immediately, or is my teammate getting challenged? And in this case, the answer is clearly no. There's just downtime where no one's touching the ball. So this is the perfect opportunity to get some kind of a diagonal flip to put yourself towards this part of the play, build up some momentum, and also start securing two pads, because two pads from this position is actually pretty good. And then he picks up the pad, uses the boost immediately, picks up the pad, uses the boost immediately. And so what could have been a 20 boost shot, again, relatively high commitment, but still a shot you can execute with 20 boost, is now something Shiva has to do with 0. And whatever happens right now is completely Shiva's fault if we're looking at him as the protagonist of the rank grind. So you can complain in your head like, oh, my teammate should not have challenged her, my teammate should have gone for the save, anything like that. But at the end of the day, you have to remind yourself that you're the protagonist in the rank climb, so you cannot fault your teammate for being left alone on defense.
Yeah,
and he tries to get the save there, but I think the damage was already done when he went for the boost, or the 0 boost shot earlier. Does get that. It's not going to get beat to the ball. Okay, that's a very nice bump from the opponent. Going to see, though, teammate's doing a pretty decent job on defense, so this is definitely one of the more likable teammates. That's a very good clear coming for Shiva. So Shiva's 2 for 2 on the passes. That's pretty good. And then if we talk about small optimizations, I think what Shiva did really well from this position is he identified that the ball was not going into the net. And that's a very good thing because this opens him up for a clear. And then the only small thing, or only 2 small things that Shiva could optimize a little bit more is take a little bit more time on the run-up. Just get a really fast straight line to when you're going to make contact on the ball so you can generate a lot of power. And then the other thing is you don't have to double jump for this ball because no one's taking this. And I'm not sure how many people in the chat know this, but this is technically an unsavable open net. If this were to happen in a higher rank lobby, Shiva theoretically could generate enough power on this ball that our guy Chav on the corner would not be able to save this at all. So those are some of the things you want to think about as well. Kickoff looking decent. Bit unnecessary on the jump. I think that I do like the idea of what she was trying to do, which is shut down the follow-up. But the best play with 0 boost to shut down this follow-up is to stay on the ground and then try to bump the other player. So Shiva could try to contest the mid boost, which is very unlikely. I think you're going to get beat to the mid boost most of the times, but if you stay grounded, see how your opponent's moving, you might be able to get a bump out of this. And otherwise, you can just back off. So you do have two pretty good options, but throwing yourself at the ball is not one of them. Good pad collection so far. Good patience as well. This is really important what Shiva did here, and I like this a lot. Shiva identified that his teammate lost complete control of the play, and then what does he do? He backs off and then goes straight to the net. And that's really important, that he doesn't try to compensate for his teammate's mistake, just lets it happen. Now he's in a good position to get this touch. He's a bit worried, I think, that his teammate's going to go for that ball, but that's fine. Still gets another 50-50. And he tries. Nice try. Risky touch. Teammate does go up for it. All right, so your teammate should be low boost out of the play, so just holding the line down is very good. Ooh. Now we have an interesting one. So I think there's a few ways we can look at this play, but it's all dependent on skill level. So the most important thing that we have to look at is how the opponent touched the ball. And the thing that we can see with how our opponent touched the ball is that the opponent doesn't have a follow-up. So this is not an air dribble, and this is also not a play that he can keep boosting to get a follow-up touch. So Shiva, if Shiva wants to, could take more time on this play. And that with more time, I mean wrap more aggressively around the ball, give yourself more options. And then from this position, which is roughly where the ball will land, you can go for a shot, you can go for a backboard setup to pass it to yourself. You can even maybe dribble this as well. You can do all these cool things.
Yeah.
But if Shiva's into wall plays, then what we'd actually be more looking to do to set up a wall play is not to touch this part of the ball because we're playing it to the opponent's half, but we're actually more looking to attack the ball from this direction because that will push the ball away from the opponents and put it up the wall for us. But we also recover very nicely to the right of the ball as well. So with this line representing where the ball should roughly go, Shiva will land maybe somewhere here. And then this gives you a lot of options for setting up some kind of a wall shot or an air dribble, ceiling shot, whatever it is that you like to do. But you can kind of see with this touch, it's very awkward. Can't really do anything with it, and it just goes a little bit too much towards the opponents. So Shiva has to bail out on the play completely, and what could have been a good offensive position was now something where Shiva has to go back to defense. All right, very nice sidewall double. Backs off as well. Goes for the shot there. Very risky, though. So I think in terms of technical play, I think where Shiva's really shining is generally pretty good mechanics. And I think where Shiva is struggling, or not necessarily struggling because it's technically a winning game, right? But I think Shiva's putting himself in a lot of bad positions where if something goes wrong, the teammate is left to clear up the entire mess. So again, this shot with zero boost, you have to be scoring it every single time. Otherwise, it's a goal for the opponents in most cases. Unless you again your teammate's god gamer on defense, then that might be the not the case. But yeah, so like again, anything that happens here is something that we cannot hold our teammate accountable for. And so what you want to be thinking more when you're in this position is how much boost does it take to roughly get the shot? Like it doesn't even have to be a very amazing shot. It just has to be a shot. How much shot do we have? How much boost do we have for the shot? But how much do we have for the recovery? And I think this is where Shiva shoots himself in the foot nearly 2 times, is because when he goes for these shots, he doesn't have any boost for the recovery, and that makes it very difficult to back up your teammate instantly. So I would say if you're going to be going for these kind of plays where they're very all in or very aggressive, and you're just trying to test your opponents, that's fine, but try to keep at least 15 boosts for the recovery because that gives you the ability to maybe still get another challenge in or maybe get back to help your teammate in time. That was a good fake though, even with zero boost, and then teammate once again gets a shot. So Shiva is playing a true support role right now, doing a good job of helping out his teammate. It's gonna pop out a little bit. Ooh, that's a very, very aggressive one. So this decision making is based on your ability to read the bounce. So I knew that this was going to pop out before Shiva did, but Shiva then tries to on reaction do this as fast as possible. So if you're going to try to follow these weird bounces that pop off the wall, my best advice is do not do it as fast as humanly possible. Uh, Try to slow down before you do your takeoff, build the speed again in the air, because obviously you want to try to do it as fast as possible where possible, but you can build the speed again in the air to generate the power that you're looking for the shot, and then just see how it goes from there. Because as soon as you start taking very fast lines towards the ball from the wall, it requires a ridiculous amount of technical execution that you don't really want to have to constantly do. And that's a nice clear from Shiva. Very good stuff. So again, this is the kind of heads up plays that you need to have in Diamond to be able to climb. So Shiva saw this tiny amount of space that I'll try to highlight in slow motion, because this is, again, I consider at least really important. And so instead of trying to just get to the ball as fast as possible, which I think, if I'm completely honest, a lot of Diamond players do, so that they would take the line straight to the ball, try to hit the ball, maybe center it like that. Shiva decides a different approach, and Shiva took a slightly wider line to let the ball go more in front of his car, and then all he has to do is ping this part of the ball, and it will go straight into the net. And I think that's a really commendable thing that Shiva did for this play, and does get rewarded with a goal with it for it. Nice half flip. Yeah, so similar mistake to the previous kickoff. I think that Flakes, because I'm pretty sure that a lot of people in this chat have watched the Flakes 2v2 series, where he talks about how to grind with zero mechanics. And he does talk a lot about drive challenges, and drive challenges are good, so don't get me wrong about that. But Shiva is overusing them. So in these situations, the reason why the opponent is winning these challenges so often is because they're jumping above a little bit higher on the ball. And when they're forcing themselves into the ball, Shiva's cart is effectively just a ramp. So to counteract this, Shiva should be single jumping as well to counter it, delaying the flip, and then using the side flip or diagonal flip to try to force it off to the side in a position that's more favorable for him to recover. And so this drive challenge wouldn't be bad if Shiva went for it instantly again, but again, that's asking a lot right there. So I'm still going to say that the drive challenge was a bit unnecessary. Ooh, very ambitious. Yeah, that's a goal. Yeah, so Shiva was playing for the pass there. I think he realized too late his teammate had no boost. And yeah, so we have a few ways of how do we approach this ball. And I think that honestly, if I were to go for the safest approach possible, I'd probably be looking to cross behind the arc of the ball. So I can tell you the ball's going roughly here. It's a little bit hard to see on a still replay image. But I think the ball's going roughly here. So if we think of that, we're going to intentionally drive this way so that our camera will start to cross over our head. And when we cross over our head with the camera, we know exactly where the ball's going. And that means that it's going opposite of us. And that's going to be a very easy tell that we're going to be able to keep the ball in the corner. So I'll try to simulate it. Hopefully I can do this well enough. So if we go just a little bit back. So we're roughly here. We'll have to probably slow this down a little bit just to get the point across. So Shiva should be moving like this. If we have ball cam on, and you see that now we can see the corner after that. So that's where I think a lot of Diamond players, they like to put themselves in very comfortable camera positions, but also the awkwardness of the camera gives us a lot of information on what the ball is doing. You can see it again. This would be how we're driving. We cross this way, and all of a sudden, boom, we see our corner. And so with that, even though the ball crossed overhead, which is very awkward, it is technically still a piece of information. And that's why it's really important to know what to do with that information and not panic. Very good kickoff. It's going to be a tricky one. Okay, still got a lot of power on that. I think the opponent should have saved that, but I'm still surprised that Shiva got it on net. So I am a little bit mixed on the play. But I think that if we want to get more consistency out of this redirect, to make sure that it's a little bit safer, but also a lot easier to execute, is I think Shiva should probably try to position a little bit wider for the shot. So again, take a lot of time by repositioning this way, because you don't have to go up for it instantly. You can also bait a lot of opponents to clear this out. And so as soon as we're on this side of the play, it's way easier for us to generate a lot of power by hitting this part of the ball and sending it to the net. And for people that have also been paying attention to the flow of the game, I'm gonna run this down, but If I remember correctly from what I saw in the replay, at the very least, only one player on the opposing team can have boost, but I think that both of them do not have boost. So I'm going to check if that's true. So yeah, so Chav follows. Going to see that. Teammate looks like he's going to challenge the corner boost. So Chav did get the boost. But that's fine because he's the only player on the team with boost. So he goes for that 50-50. He's not going for the ball anymore. And he's also not in a position to go for the ball because Chav is backwards, facing the net. So this guy is completely irrelevant right now. He has 2 pads to his name max. And so as long as Chav's not going for the ball, we know that this is actually safe. So you can take more time by paying attention to your opponent. And Chav was very out of position, and you can see that the surface, I think that's what he's called surface dirt, was not ready for it, but also had no boost to go up for it anyways. Going to be a spicy one. So really small optimization here off the kickoff, because we want to be paying attention to where everyone recovers on this. So we see that our teammate recovers past the midline, and also recovers close to the corner boost. So the odds that our teammate goes for that boost is significantly higher than normal. And then this guy recovers past our midline. So we actually do want to steal this boost right here because that's just a very good guaranteed play to give yourself a lot of pressure on offense. So if you steal that mid boost and you have the technical skill to execute a lot of the shots, the odds of you scoring off of this exact kickoff is actually relatively high. So this guy chips it past you to get the boost. So now both players on the opposing team have boost. That's very important to realize. We have a reverse rule 1 there, I think, but the opponent breaks it. Yeah, good slowdown here. Good patience here. Drive challenge was a bit unnecessary. I think you, as first man, you could go up for this, bait your opponent in because the person that's going up for this on the enemy team is last man. So you can definitely go up for that and play for the value. And then yeah, teammate gets left on his lonesome off a bad challenge, and that's fair. Oop, a little bit of a fumble on the kickoff. Okay, teammate got a pretty decent touch. No one has boost on the team though, so we just have to keep that in mind. That's a fine challenge. I don't disagree with that, even though some people will say it's a double commit. I think that if you're pushing faster than you normally would, I think it's still a good play. Teammate almost got the double tap of the sentry. Movement is really, really awkward. Yeah, so I think that Shiva. I'm not going to say that Shiva's lost, but it's Shiva looks like he's not really sure what he should be doing. So I guess part of the reason is we don't know exactly what this bounce is going to do, and that's fair enough. I could tell you that the bounce would go somewhere this way, roughly, and that's good enough for the sake of the read. But in this case, if you want to, if you still want to put yourself in a position where you can maybe challenge this, at the very least, face the play from roughly close to the wall, because that does 2 things. It gives us access to challenge on the wall if we really need to, but again, I'm probably faking most of the time. And we can also turn straight to our net if a clear comes in. So as long as we're facing the play and we acknowledge the fact that we have to turn almost 180 degrees to cover entire net, that's fine because you're ready for it. But being backwards from this position and then turning around when this happens, this is really deadly because now if the opponent clears it, you're 0 momentum turning towards the play, and then you can't save the ball anymore. And I think Shiva realized it, so decides to back off instantly. Oh, that's a deadly bump. They do miss it. Does Shiva score this? It's looking like it. Puts it behind him. Okay, very interesting. I think you could have still gone for the bottom left if possible, but it's fine. You still got it in the net. All right, one more touch might come in. Shot attempt. Yep, that's fine. I still think it's fine that Shiva went for the shot there, even though he made the mistake. The correct play at all lobbies is to go up for the shot. Ooh, Shiva's playing a very dangerous game. Should have gone for the mid boost there. First touch is good. I like the idea to touch it and then try to follow it up. Nice. All right, that's technically open, but you're going to let your teammate go up for that. That's fine. Just do not go for this, please. I'm curious if Shiva goes for this. Okay, Shiva does go for this. So that could have been where the opponents start building the equalizer. Because what we don't want to be doing, even though we're 2 goals up, we don't want to be giving the opponent a free kickoff, because kickoffs is where most of the game goes wrong for a comeback. So fake challenge has immense more value here because you have 10 seconds left on the clock. Because if we think about everything that we can do from this position, number one, if we fake this, we can we can take the ball to our half again. So that would be the biggest value play. So if we assume that the ball is going to get hit somewhere this way towards the mid boost, we can cut over the ball as it's going to cross over our head, and then we just play it into a corner, and that's going to be enough time to kill to guarantee the victory. The other thing is that if the opponents do mess up the touch, Shiva's in a really good position to steal the corner boost. And if you steal the corner boost, it's also more or less a guaranteed win. It just depends on how the opponents play the next touch on the ball. So Shiva has all these non-scoring ways of securing the game win, but Shiva tries to go for that one extra goal, which ironically could have lost him the game. And then he is playing patient here, and then that is GG. So if I give my parting thoughts before we go over any questions or anything like that, I think the three main things, as with Shiva being one of our archetypal diamond players, is number one is boost management. Is especially when with low boost. I think that Shiva generally could maybe flip around the map a little bit more just to conserve some boost, especially when there's no action on the ball. Realizing that if he is playing aggressively with low boost, how much boost he should be conserving for the recoveries. And yeah, just again, taking stock of the game state. Should you be diving for some of these challenges, and should you just be playing a bit more patient, opting for a little bit more fake challenges? And then last one, I think this is a very Shiva specific thing, so it's not necessarily for all the diamond players here that are watching. I think Shiva could be trying to using more single jumps for the challenges. I think that Shiva is doing too many drive challenges when the opponents are jumping into the ball. So if you're as someone who identifies with some of Shiva's mistakes, the best way you can fix it is just single jump and delay the flip as long as possible. And with that said, do we have any questions before we go over the next replay? All right, going once, going twice. We're going to Ender Waves replay review. And after that, we'll go straight into mechanics. So I think Ender Waves in his DM, he's told me that this is really high Diamond 3, close to Champ promo. So it's pretty much what we're looking for securing our Champ rewards. Kickoff is pretty good. I think just as a general thing, because I don't want to make a point out of it too much, is for some of the people that I do know that play in Diamond, really learn how to flip on the kickoff, because you can see that Shiva and Ender are getting quite a lot of mileage out of their kickoffs. So they're pretty consistent at getting the ball to the opposing half, and that's just a pretty free way of getting free goals in Diamond. So we're gonna take a look at this one here. Yeah. So more or less not ready for this as Ender Waves, but that's fine because you can do a lot from this position. So I think the only thing that we can really critique from Ender Wave from this position is that he took the wrong turn. So instead of turning to where the ball came from, he should be turning the opposite direction and trying to follow it up the wall. But that's fine though, because he's going straight to net, and that's completely okay. I would say this, though, is a little bit of an unnecessary corner boost grab, though. I think that you could try to save it for later. But I think overall the fact that you kept your your ball cam on the entire time when grabbing this boost, that's actually a big thing. So I would say as long as you're paying attention to the play when you grab the corner boost, it's still okay. But I think it's a little bit unnecessary for the time being. Let's see this. And then yeah, this should be a goal. Looks like it is. And yeah, it is. So number one biggest mistake, and for some of the people in the chat that might be wondering how can you do this better? Well, the thing that you don't want to always look at is how to hit the ball from this position, because technically this is scoreable, and technically he could score this roughly top right. Depends on a bit how he approaches the ball. But the main thing where you're going to shoot yourself in the foot is not taking advantage of the space to give yourself more placement options. So if we look at this exact position on the map, where the ball is going, where his car is going, there's a very limited line where Ender Waves can get a powerful shot roughly towards the right side of the net. This is about 45 degrees coming from this area. So yeah, that's about it. But as soon as we move our car just a little bit to the right, and it doesn't even have to be that much. It's like in this case, it's just a few car lengths to the right. All of a sudden, the ability to generate a lot of power on this shot, and especially getting access to that top left placement, is huge. So when you're going for these kind of very awkward shots where you're putting yourself in that position of like, okay, I have to score it or we're probably conceding. Focus first and foremost on the game state of where the players are, what are they doing, and then as you're doing that, repositioning is the next highest priority. Because again, if we look at this, the difference between shooting from this position and this position is completely night and day. And I think that a lot of the diamond players that are watching us right now would be able to score this more often than not if they just repositioned a little bit more. Oh, whoops. And so yeah, again, teammate panics there, and that's rightfully so because any touch from the opponent will go straight in the net. And then yeah, maybe you could make the argument that you can cover the near post, but again, I think that the biggest problem was the fact that Ender tried to shoot the shot like that. Yeah, decides not to go for the flip on that side of the kickoff, so that might be a lopsided kickoff where he's not very comfortable playing on that specific side, and that's fair enough. Nice patience. Just gonna see your teammate. It's okay. Just driving around a little bit too much. So I think you could just check to see what your teammate does here. So be a little bit more patient and don't try to play with a little bit more of a neutral position. So this position gives you way more options than this position because this position is good if you know that your teammate's not there. But you're better off just trying to see what your teammate's going to do rather than assuming that he's just going to leave the ball. So you do lose a little bit of time off of that touch, and it was a pretty good touch from your teammate as well, if I'm completely honest. And so now because we lost so much time from not taking a neutral position, we have to leave the outcome of the game in our teammate's hand, which is something we don't want to be doing. Goes up for it, very risky. Yeah, so this ties in a little bit to what we were talking about with the Shiva replay earlier, is that this doesn't actually do a lot. If you had a shot on net from this position, I would say it would be worth going for, but just the fact that you're playing against the last man and you're 30 boost, you could actually take way more time and then go up for this in response to your opponent going up for it. And then if anyone already asked the question, okay, well, how do I do that? How do I bait the opponent? The fundamental way of baiting the opponent from this position is to realize one thing, is that the ball is moving away from the player that you're against and it's moving towards you. So you're going to be hitting that ball twice as fast if the opponent isn't playing really close to the ball. So our opponent's octane is roughly, we're going to say like a eighth of a pitch away from the ball. So if our opponent's not moving with that ball, they're automatically not going for it. And if they do go for it, it's a huge blunder. So staying on the ground as long as possible, see if the guy will go for it, is a really important thing to do to bait the opponent. And if it comes down to it, we catch the ball or maybe pass it to ourselves on the sidewall. But we don't want to just go up for this for the sake of going up for this because we don't have a shot on net. And so it ties in a bit to what I said with the Shiva replay. We don't want to leave the outcome of the game in our teammate's hand. That's one of the things that you don't want to be doing as a solo queue player in Diamond. If you have a teammate that you regularly play with that is responsive to passes, then it's fair enough. Good patience. It's not scoreable. Yeah, definitely don't want to be doing that. So that could have been a straight goal, but the opponent doesn't generate enough power. And so the answer for playing around these positions is just to accept the fact that it's not scoreable. And if you want it to be a scoreable setup, it's going to require at least two touches. Like there's no single touch in the game that puts this straight into the net, and that's the most important thing you have to realize. So if you see that this ball is really glued to the wall, what you can do is you can actually let it hit the ramp, and then as soon as it moves off the ramp, it's going to give you a lot more options for actually setting up a shot on net. That requires foresight and again knowing how to read these bounces. But Going up for a ball that close to the backboard is a recipe for disaster. It's fine. Do we take our time here? Nope. Ooh, playing a little bit too close. I do like the idea of covering your teammates' touches, but I think you could have just done it a little bit from further away. So if we look at what's happening beforehand, the other guy's moving away. So playing relatively close to the slow play is actually not a half bad idea. Just like at this point, when the opponent can flick it, though, that's when you put yourself in a very deadly position. Like this is where I would be really uncomfortable because we can't assume when our teammate is going to challenge, especially in Diamond. We can just account for the fact that the odds of our teammate challenging is going to be higher, but we have to keep ourselves very flexible. So we have to, as Ender from this position, you still have to put yourself in a position that you can cover your net. This is okay. Puts pressure on, so it's not that bad. Going up for this though, really bad. So I think we're seeing something similar from the Shiva replay again. Just really trying too hard to force the issue on offense. So for anyone that's in Diamond, you just have to know when the play is dead, and there's nothing wrong with giving the opponent's possession. If any of the Diamond players here happen to watch RLCS, there a lot of the players that are doing this are playing 3v3 for starters and not 2v2. And they are doing a lot of risk analysis when they're going for those types of ball, but it's just a little bit harder to see because you think that all the kids are playing really fast in RLCS, and that's because they are. But you have to make sure that again you keep enough boost for the recovery, and what you're getting out of that challenge is worth it. Because if we think about what are we getting out of this challenge, the answer is nothing because we're not scoring this, and we're leaving our teammate to do all the work for us. If you'd actually want to challenge this, you'd be way better off waiting, just picking up some pads, preferably as well. Wait, delay the challenge, and then go for it. Because then the opponent has locked himself into an axis where you can cover a lot of the different outcomes. And yeah, teammate has to carry us there. All right, so we're down to an equalizer. All right, you take over the play. That's good, and we just fake here, so that's good. I I knew your teammate was behind you, so I could feel this coming. But I think that if you're going to take this ball, you just don't have to jump for it. So even though you're cutting off your teammate, which creates its own problems, the best way to play this ball is just to let it bounce off your car and then work from there. Jumping into it and flipping is going to make this happen more often than not, and we get a lucky bump off of that, and that's the main reason why we didn't concede there. Okay, can you score this? Yeah. So I want to show this just at 50% speed because I think it's worth showing. Is when you're going for these types of shots, which are let's say very sideways based balls. Well, what we can identify one thing that Ender is doing well is that he's tracking the ball. So if we see this, I'll see if I can draw this. Gonna see this at some point. So this should be roughly a straight line representing that the ball and the car are doing the exact same thing. I'll see if I can play this. This. Yeah. Yeah, so now we can see this line. So I'm gonna press back and we're gonna just keep tracking this line just so we can see that Ender is tracking the ball. So the ball's roughly staying on that exact same line. You see it's not moving away from the line. But then we have to do something with that information because the only thing that what Ender is doing with this type of play is he's getting information on what the ball is doing, and that's a very important thing to do. But then we also have to factor in the map, and the most important thing on the map is the opposing net. So if we know that the net is further to the right, it's not good enough to just drive towards the ball and meet it in the middle right here. So if you want to keep as much speed as possible with low boost, you can do a little cool trick where you start turning towards where the ball's coming from. Then the ball will start to wrap a little bit more in front of your car, and then you get access to this because at the end of the day, the only thing that you care about touching to score this open net is that. So you either have to do some kind of a slowdown by turning towards away from the ball roughly, or slowing down with brake taps or letting go of throttle, but that might be a really risky thing to do with low boost. So how you execute it at the end of the day doesn't matter too much, but a really safe way to do it is just to make sure that you turn towards where the ball came from if you have to adjust your line of it. Nice coverage. Ooh, very deadly bang. Yeah, so similar thing here is we have to track where the opponent's recovering. The answer is nowhere near the ball, so that means one thing, and that's we have time. And when you have time, you try to do as much as possible to let the ball bounce off your car. Just drive into it, let it bounce off your car, work from there. Because this is effectively just a center right now. And yeah, the only reason why that doesn't go in the net is because the guy missed it. So we're playing really panicky right now. We're trying to get as much pressure as possible, but the one thing that we actually do want to be seeing more in this diamond replay is we want to see more control of the ball, more considerate play with what we can do with the time that we have. Ooh, there's a guy behind you. Good that you don't dive there for the challenge. Nice that you did that as well. That's good. Fake challenger as well. Okay, so everything that Ender did here, like here, everything here, Ender's playing it really well. And then the only thing where it falls apart a little bit is right here, where he bangs the ball for no reason. So, again, we have to keep in mind that a lot of these touches that the opponents are doing right now in the diamond lobby is that they're actually just giving away possession, but you just have to see the way to control the ball. And also what the opponent can and can't do from that position. Because the most important thing that with that opponent's touch right there is it's moving away from our other player, but it's moving towards us. So again, we get to that same ball twice as fast as the opponent because it's moving towards us, we're moving towards it, moving away from the opponent. So you could just let that ball bounce all the way to your corner if it comes down to it, and you can control the ball. Because possession with this game state, with how the game's been going, is way more important than trying to make sure that you just get some kind of pressure by clearing the ball. All right, let's see. Nice. That's a good challenge right there, and that's a good pressure play. Ooh, very risky. Plays it low. That's good. Good that you played it low there. Okay, teammate gets a pass one. Yeah, boost conservation is just a little bit off, so we're gonna keep stock of this. So we haven't touched the ball at all in the cup coming 10 seconds, I want to say. So we started off with 35. Do pick up some pads here. Still haven't touched the ball, and now we're down to 0 again. But we do get one pad, but now we're down to 6. So realistically, if you don't miss one pad, you should have 40 to 50 boost in a similar situation. So like let's say an SSL or a GC3 player would probably be in a very similar state to you with about 50 boost. And that is actually a really big difference in terms of what you can do from that play. Oh, good patience. I do like the patience of not going up for it, but you can just keep track of the play. Like this is not a very dangerous position. If the opponent clears it, it's giving up possession. So you can just keep your eye out on the ball with ball cam and just see what they do. It's okay. I would have liked it if you did not use your flip there. I think that pre-jumping this to cover the 50 is okay. But I think as soon as you flip though, you hit it just a little bit too hard. It's gonna be off. Ooh. All right, nice. Teammate did a good job. All right, he's trying to pop off. Is he popping off? All right, we get the shot. Nice. Looks like the opponents are going to surrender based on the in-game timer. Yeah, with that guy whiffing, looks like they're going to surrender. Yeah, it's going straight in the net. So I think if I do a quick summary of let's say a lot of the core mistakes that we saw from this game is not utilizing the space that you have on the field to get better angles. There's just too much of a linear focus of how do I get to the ball as fast as possible from where I am, and that's a really bad mindset to have. Getting as fast as possible to the ball from where you currently are is only a question you should be asking when you're challenging. That's really the only reason why you want to have that kind of mindset. And then for every other situation, you want to think about maximizing possession. What gives you the most chances of scoring? What gives you the most placement options? What gives you the best ways to outplay the opponents, extend pressure? All those questions that you can ask in your head. You want to really get rid of that mindset though of getting as fast as possible to the ball because we saw from Ender that he missed what was effectively two open nets if you play them really well. One of them was what I would consider a very easy one, which was a ball that was sideways on the midfield. And the other ball that he missed was that one that came close to the corner, but that's a very hard one, so I wouldn't fault Ender for missing that. But yeah, really just when you're in free play, for example, you can try practicing that. It's more of like a meditative exercise, if I'm completely honest, than anything else. So if you just boom the ball around in any random given position, you're gonna see that when you start doing stuff, it gives you better options. So like if I do the ball where I charge straight at it right here, I could get middle net and I can get right net. But then if I start repositioning just a little bit differently, all of a sudden my placement options get better. So like this touch right here, you see how this position I have? I see the entire net from that position. So I've got all these cool placement options. And that's a really important way to go about practicing to improve your ground game. But with that said, though, if we have any questions on the past replay, then I would like to hear them. And otherwise, we can move on to some of the cool mechanical stuff.
Wait, I actually have a question.
What's that?
I have a question.
Yeah, sure. Do I should I go back to the replay?
No, you don't have to actually. It's more general. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay. So, um, when I basically have the chance and I don't bang the ball and I pick it up or I catch it or I play just like a light touch and the people are away, um, I basically end up, I'd say, going up the side wall, right, or going out towards the opponent's goal on the side wall, and then I maybe can pass the first one or can fake out this first one, and then the second one will basically be in my face and bang the ball, away from me, or I catch it and midfield and I try to get forward, and then I go forward or maybe I dribble, but then the opponent basically comes and bangs it up from the top off of me. So question is, what are the right strategies here once I have control of the ball to really get better, maybe with outplaying the opponents. I usually get past one, sometimes past two, but then at least usually the second or third one, depending on if I play twos or threes, will get in my way somehow. Not sure if that is a common theme or what to do better.
So I would like you to be a bit more specific. Are you struggling with really just outplaying the additional opponent, or are you more struggling with early challenges from the opponent?
More struggling with early challenges, I'd say. I usually get stuck in the 50s, so to speak, right?
Okay, so there is a few ways that you can deal with that, and one of them, you can, if you've ever watched the Flakes series, is playing the ball more laterally. Because one of the things that's really cool about playing the ball more sideways is that you can pop the ball better. So I want to try to see if I can highlight this. So like imagine that I'm trying to score on the orange net right now, and I do this rolling ball.
Mm-hmm.
If I want to pop the ball right now, you
Right.
see that I can't really generate a lot of lift. But if I do a similar play, but I just play it more sideways than initially, I can do this really cool pop. So here, I'll play the ball this way, and then I drive into the ball like this, and you see that bounce that I did right there? That gives me way more outplay options. So that would be number one, is don't play too much forward, because forward really limits your options on how you can outplay the opponent.
Mm-hmm.
But you see sideways, these bounces that you're getting right now, these are really nice because you can do all these cool different outplays with it. Number two is learning how to flick early. So like let's say here you know how to do this.
Mm-hmm.
So all the again, I can make it sound really easy as possible, but you just have to know which part of the hitbox is the ball's going to bounce off your car, and then that bounce that you let it happen, it just allows you to flick early.
Gotcha.
So like early flicks, or also even just doing stuff like that where you just play more underneath the ball, is really good. So it's a little bit hard to show on stream, but they're like roughly at the middle of the rooftop of the Fennec. That's the
Mm-hmm.
part of the ball, or the car rather, that generates a lot of lift on the ball if I play very far underneath it. So if you're playing Octane, is roughly the engine block. But if you learn how to hit the ball with this, you're going to just generate so much lift. And that all, funnily enough, this is a bit of a spoiler for one of the stuff that we might be going over for the aerial training.
Yeah.
But learning how to hit the ball like that is really good because it teaches you how to do aerials in free play. So like I can do this now, and then if I get this pop, I can do whatever I want with it. I can do air dribbles, I can do backward double taps, whatever I want. But that touch, really opens up the entire world for you, both in terms of gameplay, but in terms of training. So
I love
if we
something
if we
you're doing there. That's really what I can do to get more consistent. I mean, I don't use these shots enough, and also when I do, maybe 40-50% go well, but this is something exactly what you're doing right now. I think is a good starting point to get consistency in those you know touches. Good, that's cool. Thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome. So yeah, as you guys can see that I've kept the ball up now for like I think 6 or 7 hits there. So I'm pretty consistent at those touches. So this is just a really cool outplay mechanic. So like you imagine you just get challenged there. If this was 1v1, that's just a free goal. So learning that touch really crucial for ground play, but also it will open up your entire world if you're trying to do aerial stuff in free play. But yeah, with that said, thanks for the question. Do we have any other questions before we move on?
Hey, Mike. Sorry.
What's up?
I just want to say, just want to give you thanks again for doing this before you move on. And just a little shout out to the Twitch channel. If you're watching on Twitch and you're not part of the Discord, you can exclamation Discord, join the channel. We are, there's a dozen people or so in the voice chat. And Mike says he wants to make it interactive, take questions, things like that. So if you're just watching online and you get a chance to hop on, you can pop in and ask questions. If you can't do it now, obviously you can join later. Mike's one of our online server coaches, so you can ping him and set up a session or something like that. And I have one more thing I was going to say. Oh yeah, and Mike, his Twitch is at LurkerRL. Make sure you give him a follow, and he does some casting of our tournaments and stuff like that too. So thanks again, Mike, and take it away.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. So I think for what we highlighted mostly in the replays is that doing some ground stuff would be very productive. So I think we'll spend anywhere between 20 to 30 minutes for the ground stuff, and then if we have any specific questions along the way, feel free to interject. You don't have to wait all the way until we like cover the stuff. Like if the more specific your question, the better, and we can go over it. And if anyone is willing to maybe share their stream as well, and we can go over some of the mechanics, then that would be lovely. Because I see that Fallen Justice is willing to share a screen. But if other people fire up the stream, then I can maybe call you out as an example. And either way, for the people that are not necessarily willing to share their screen, maybe just having the game open and participating by like actually trying some of these exercises would be very useful. And if you want to just do it on your own time, that's also cool. There's no pressure. So we have Legend of Steve. Thank you very much. So the first exercise that we're going to be doing is quite fun. It's also really versatile. It has a lot of replay value. And even to this day, I've probably spent, I don't know, 50 plus hours doing this. I still put in more time because it has so much versatility. So what you're going to do is very simple. You're just going to pop it to the sidewall and just see how hard you can shoot that ball and what kind of placement you can get with the sidewall read. And the we will probably go over to someone else's stream to see how they do it. But there's no rules in terms of how you do this. What you want to be doing at the very least though with this shot is get around 60 to 65 miles per hour as a bare minimum. And if you have any placement goals as well while doing this, that makes it even better. But I think for the time being, getting it on net with plus 60 mph or 100 kilometers per hour for the Euros, that would be a really good place to start. So I will check Legend of Steve stream maybe, see what's going on over here.
Hey, and I will be following Mike to cast on the Twitch too, so please be aware of that. In case you're sharing something, it will be online.
Yeah, excellent. So Steve, can you reset the kickoff? What's your reset ball option? I don't know what it is.
I don't know if I have one assigned.
I think it's just reset shot. There should be a default button. If you have a spare one, that'd be great. Whether it's
Reset roll.
I think it's quite low towards the bottom. Reset shot. It's your RB apparently. or R1 if you're on PlayStation.
There we go.
Yeah, nice. So you can just hop over to here, just pop it anywhere towards the sidewall, just drive into it. It doesn't matter what angle you take. There we go. So one thing that we can highlight off of Steve's first attempt is two things. So set yourself up for actually which net you want to go for. So don't try to improv it, but tell yourself beforehand, are you going to shoot on orange net or blue net?
Blue net.
Okay, we're shooting for blue net. So the most important thing is you don't want to follow the rebound exactly. So what I mean is take a line to the left of the rebound. That's already a good place to start.
Okay.
So as soon as you touch the ball, go a little bit to the left.
Oh.
Oh.
I
Yeah,
think I
you
went
can just
left
reset
a little
the shot
early.
again. Yeah, you're fine. You can just reset it and then just try again. Yep. You see, all of a sudden, that shot became a lot easier, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then what we're going to do to maybe make it a little bit simpler as well is try to time your shot after the first ground bounce. So
Okay.
we'll just add that extra dimension for the sake of consistency. Yep. Yep, nice try. So we're going to add one extra movement option in to try to simplify our shot even more. So what you're going to do is two things on the movement. One, turn away from the ball line, like I said, to set yourself up for the net. And number two is you're going to face the ball roughly in the direction of the rebound before the actual rebound happens on the sidewall.
Okay. You drive at it.
Yeah, move away.
Set yourself up.
Yeah, there you go. Try to keep the ball a little bit tighter to the sidewall. So that when you chipped it really far towards the corner, just try to keep it a little bit more towards the mid boost. It doesn't have to be perfect, but just a bit more mid boost. Yeah, nice.
Oh. Should have taken a wider angle.
Yeah, you could have taken a wider angle and maybe slowed down a little bit, and then try also turning before the actual rebound happens. And with turning, I just mean facing the rough rebound direction. Yeah. So you're just a little bit too tight there. You could just play a little bit further back. Yep. And then all of a sudden, that did that make your shot even easier than the other attempt?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then from there, where you go to make it a little bit trickier every time is obviously you just want to build the consistency. Taking the ground bounce is a really important one. So your positioning now has to be based on where you think the ground bounce is going to be, and generally where you want to be for a lot of these shots is let's say from the angle that Steve is taking, he wants to be on the right side of the ball, which is what he's been doing most of the time, and that's good. And then the other thing that we can do to add an extra dimension of like teaching ourselves how to use different parts of the hitbox is to use the corner of your car. So effectively, you take a straight line towards the back wall, and then you try to snipe it with your left corner or the flip. And that you see, like that shot was honestly a lot better than a lot of the other ones, right?
Yeah.
And then the only thing that we're missing right now in terms of like let's say some of the requirements that I was talking about, but again, this comes with time, is that you try to get more power on it. So because if you do it properly, you can relatively easily get 70 mph on these shots. Yeah, so you turn away there. Yeah, and the only small mistake you made there is you jumped the gun a little bit too soon in terms of like building the forward speed. But the most important thing for this is kind of realizing that this is like a 3D exercise. Like that shot was really good. I'll check someone else's stream because Steve is a little bit faster than most of the learning curve. We'll check Ender's stream maybe. All right, let's see it, Ender. That's good first touch. Yeah, so on that shot, your timing was just a bit late when you went for the shot. Yeah, turning the angles are good. Yep, and just missing out on the power a little bit. And I think this is also a pretty good general tip for most people, is if you're going for this type of a sidewall shot, try to keep the actual mechanics of doing the shot really simple. So like just nice clean straight lines, no fancy air roll, just using the diagonal flip and hitting the right part of the ball. That shows that you have a really good understanding of how to do this. Oh, first touch was good. Yeah, so that attempt was actually pretty good in terms of the movement ender. And then the only thing that you needed to do to get the shot was use the right side of your car, like the right corner, and then you would have had the shot on it. And then also it would be right corner and also right diagonal flip. Yeah, looking good. And then one other small thing is when you play the ball a bit more towards the corner boost, you do have to catch up to the ball a bit more because you're playing a little bit too far away for the shot, and that's limiting your ability to generate a lot of height on the ball. Like, I'm not doubting your ability to actually put it towards the net, but if you play that far away and you tell yourself you want to try to go for like a bar down shot, you're not going to be able to hit that. Okay, he gets the bar down instantly. What the hell?
Hey, yeah, tell me I can't get a bar down.
That was clean.
No, it's funny. I tried to get a clip earlier from a replay I had this morning, because we did coaching 2 or 3 months ago, 4 months ago maybe. The first time I was trying to hit champ, and you had me like drilling this drill in particular, and I scored the final goal in a match this morning in twos, and it was like this same kind of off a kickoff, off the sidewall, like exactly what I'm drilling right now. And it's kind of happened so much at this high diamond, low champ level of play. Like that drill that you taught me, a few months ago has benefited me mightily. So
Excellent. And so one of the questions that maybe someone would have for this drill is how do we spice it up a little bit more? And then the answer is actually quite simple: is you learn to take these shots before the ground bounce happens, and you also try to set up the shot in such a way that it does not hit the ground either. The only way that the ball would be allowed to hit the ground is if let's say it was a bar down and it hits the goal line. Like, that's completely fine. That's still a really amazing shot. But you don't take the ground bounce on this, and you try to see if you can like get anywhere close to the crossbar, and maybe even get far post placement. You see, like this, for some of the people that are still in my stream, like I've hit the crossbar many times, so I'm going way too low on the ball. Like that's how you also learn how to fix these types of shots. So if you're doing the same routine that I'm doing, where you're trying to not do this before the ball bounces on the ground, and you hit the crossbar, the game's just telling you, oh, you're going way too low on the ball. But yeah, there's the thing that's so cool again about this, there's just so much replay value. You can do a lot of cool stuff with this. You can also practice single jumps as well, and really using a specific part of your hitbox. But yeah, so like in this case, I would have to use the far left of my hitbox, and that's the only way that I score that as well. And so in a lot of the cases when I'm doing this exercise that I've been showing people, is most of the time I do go for the far post shot, because I find the far post shot actually easier to hit from this position. But also try telling yourself to hit the near post shot. So if you're the inverse, that you find near post easier, then try telling yourself hit the far post shot. And this is just a really good way of creating. There's a lot of different terms for it, but you can call it object permanence. For those of you that have kids, probably know what object permanence is. But you're just creating a mental map in your head of where everything is on the map. And so if I know exactly where the near post is, I can kind of visualize and tell myself which part of the hitbox I should be using to get the type of shot that I want. And you see there, I almost got the near post top left, which would be an unsavable shot. And I think with that said, I think most people have managed to get something. Maybe I'll just watch one more person quickly, and then we can move on. I'll maybe check Uddy's stream. Yep, good first touch. Yeah, so you can think of with that first attempt that you did there is there's like maybe one or two things that went wrong. Is you maybe turned a little bit too sharp towards the ball at the start, But all your speed management is just a little bit too early. When you're turning towards the ball, you're just a little bit too early. So if you're going for very tight shots, it's fine that you want to practice that. But just slow down a little bit right there, and then you can still see the entire net. Nice. It's like if you're playing really close to the wall, you can just let go of throttle. Keep yourself as close as you'd like, but just letting go of throttle and then starting boost again when you're going to go for impact on the ball, it will be pretty solid. Yeah. Only thing there is you didn't use your corner. Yep, nice shot. So one thing to keep in mind because I don't want the tip that I gave earlier to be too binary, but if you accidentally hit the ball a little bit too much towards the corner, then generally just keep following it. You want to keep the line really tight. Like the turn away is more relevant the more parallel you are to the mid boost when you hit it. Like if you hit it off to the side, you only have to swerve a tiny bit, and then if you hit it more towards the corner boost, then you don't even have to really swerve that much at all. It's only really when you hit it towards the mid boost that you have to swerve a lot.
Hey, Mike, I'm back on your stream. Someone was asking for your settings. Could you just flash those real quick?
Yeah, sure. For anyone that's interested, also that also watches RLCS, the ones that I'm using are Astral's camera settings. So Astral from Moist Esports.
Boo, Moist.
Yeah, Genji took them really hard in Rotterdam. Feels bad.
Cool. All right, thanks, Mike.
Yep. And this is a funny thing that I've been experimenting with because camera settings are an interesting thing. So if you actually find yourself to be, let's say, less of a mechanical person, but more of like a game sense person, you could try experimenting with more zoomed in camera settings to help yourself get better at hitting the ball. Because I usually used to play with like anywhere between 270 and 310 for camera distance. And when I started using more zoomed in camera settings, I got mechanically better, but my game sense didn't actually suffer a lot. Because I generally play in my head like I know where everyone is. So like I take in information from what I saw beforehand, I create a mental map of where everyone should be, and then having these more zoomed in camera settings actually allows me to hit the ball a little bit more precise. Yeah, we'll go into a little bit more of an easier exercise. I think this one is quite a fun one to start off with. We're going to go for a very simple ball control exercise. And this is where you take the ball off to the side of the field. You try to roll the ball towards the opposite side of the field. It doesn't have to be very specific, but we're saying I'm going for orange net. I'm just going to roll the ball this way. And what we're going to do is we're going to do one tap off the bounce of your car like this, and then we're going to shoot. And that's it. And it doesn't matter which side of the field you're doing either. So it's roll across, one tap to pop it in the air, and then shoot. And you can either shoot when the ball's in the air, or you can shoot the ball after the next ground bounce. Yeah, I'm going to check. We'll check Fallen Justice stream. Do you have Bacchus by any chance, Fallen?
Yeah, I got Buck mod.
Yeah, so if you what you can do to make your life simple is on the kickoff, just press up on the D-pad, spawn it near the one in the mid boost, and then you can roll it across.
Oh, like that. Yeah, I see.
Yeah, you drive to the left mid boost, just leave the ball, and then press up on the D-pad. And then
To the left of the mid boost?
Yeah, it doesn't go to either mid boost, and then press up on your D-pad, and then now roll it to the opposite mid boost.
Oh, to the opposite mid boost.
Yeah. Roll it, and then cut around it for one tap, and then see if you can shoot it towards the net. Yep. And so yeah, if those of you that saw Fallen Justice shot, we can say two things for improvement is you can cut around the ball a lot more aggressively. So instead of trying to hit the ball with the nose of your car, when you cut around it like this, use your corner instead.
Okay.
Or like
Sure.
maybe a little bit in front of the. Actually, no, it would be for the Octane a little bit more on the wheel itself. Like it's either the corner or like slightly near the front of the wheel, like that. And you see that pop is a lot nicer to work with.
Right.
And then one thing as well, just to make life really easy, is when you go for the pop as well, don't try to pop your ball towards the net. Try to pop it anywhere towards the back wall or maybe even the corner boost. And then wrap around it to the left and then see if you can find a shot from there.
That's a lot harder. Okay, I got to prepare for that one, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And the reason why I'm making this complicated is because one of the things that we want to be doing with this pop is we do not want the opponent to challenge it. And so if you pop it towards the backboard or the corner boost, just roughly in that vicinity, the opponent can't challenge it if they're net. Because if they challenge it, you pop it over their head as a goal.
No, too much. I hit it towards the goal again.
Yeah,
that's just a habit I gotta break because it's hard not to shoot towards goal. I guess a diamond.
Yeah, and what you can do to maybe fix that is don't keep turning when you're driving to the ball. Like just imagine that your ball is like a ramp, and the reason why the ball is popping is because the ball is rolling against your car. So if you intentionally go a little bit wider on your roll, and then cut more in front of it, more, like that. You see how you got that juicy pop?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the reason why, because like the height of the ball is more or less determined by how much counterforce there is. So when you're trying to cut into a ball that's moving in the same direction as you, you only get these mini pops, and those mini pops are really good for setting up a flick, maybe. Right. But if you want to pop to set up for a shot, you have to go entirely against the grain of the ball.
Okay, that makes sense. Against.
Like that, yeah. And then one tip I can give you is when you try to get in front of the ball a little bit faster, and then just drive in a straight line and see if the lines kind of connect. And so what I mean with that is you should be able to see if the ball will actually connect. Yeah, like that. And you're going to see as well that when you drive in a straight line and you're not turning into it, you're not going to get these really weird bounces. Like it's just a very consistent meaty pop that you're getting off your car.
Okay.
I'll go check someone else's stream quickly. Maybe we'll go back to Steve's.
Hello.
Hello. All right, let's see it.
So, I was gone for half the instructions, but you're rolling the ball.
Yeah. Just put it on top of your car. Roll it. It doesn't really matter. Just roll it somewhere in the direction of the opposite mid boost, and then pop it once towards the backboard / quarter boost, and then try to shoot from there.
We're popping it towards that boost.
No, so go back to the quarter boost. Mid boost, excuse me. Just hit the ball a bit more abrasively towards the other mid boost, and then wrap around it and pop on the car.
Oh.
Yeah,
go that way.
It's fine. And then like that, exactly. But your pop though has to be going away from the net.
Okay. So a non-threatening pop.
Yeah, a non-threatening pop. We want to bait our opponent in its challenge, theoretically at least.
That way, ball.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be perfect. Just you can also like jump and flip into it as well a little bit, like just nice and weak. Yeah, like that. So yeah, if you wanted to for this setup, you'd have to hit that ball just a little bit harder.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, and the one thing I'm going to be looking for is, are you able to get the meaty pop? Yeah, that's good. Yeah, so we're seeing a little bit of a similar thing with Fallen. Is when you're going for that pop on the ball, you're turning into it a little bit too much. Like you can do that, but just taking a straight line and let the ball do the work for you is also completely fine. Because one of the advantages that it does, if you do take that straight line that I'm talking about, is that the ball pops a little bit away from your car, and you can just use your left corner again to go for another shot.
Oh.
Or you want to get it on like the bounce dribble, or you have the option to air dribble and all that. Yeah.
Yeah, you can air dribble it, you can bounce dribble it, you can just pop it over people. With that, learning how to get those pops, the world's your oyster at that point when you're consistently getting them. And like, if anyone has watched the Flakes 2v2, like he can make people look like clowns when he just has a bounce. Like he can just pop it over their head and they will just fly past him.
Yeah.
So should I be power sliding into it for the pop?
Not really. Like, you can tap it once or twice. Like, if you're taking a pretty sharp turn, you can tap it once or twice, but you don't have to actually hold it or anything.
Okay.
But I just take a straight line. So, like, if you've been watching my stream on the side, I'm just taking straight lines, no power slides.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm hugging the ball too much. You're a little further away.
One of the things, it's good that you point that out, because one of the things that it does if I play further away, I see the entire pitch when I'm doing it.
Right.
So again, I know whether or not my opponent is challenging me.
Go.
So when you're hugging the ball and then you're turning with it, you're getting all these weird camera warps, and that's fine. But when you play further away like I do, we can see exactly everything. So we can decide when to pop, when to go for the shot.
Okay. Yeah, that helps. That was I think that was the mistake I was making. I don't know why I popped it up that high. Go that way, ball.
And then the idea as well is, like, so we're just doing this basic exercise of rolling it towards the mid boost, because it's like the simplest example that you can imagine being relevant in game. But at some point, what you want to be doing to add more replay value to it is to do this, but then in other parts of the field as well.
Oops.
So you like the thing that like a lot of boxers do is, like, they do shadow boxing. So they're just imagining someone trying to punch them in the face. So I'm also thinking that if I set the premise in my head that let's say the opponent is on the opposite corner boost, and I have a rolling ball and a bouncing ball, how do I mess up someone that is coming from that opposite corner boost?
Okay, there's a knife sharpening party tonight, right here in our kitchen.
And one thing that might help some people for seeing the line, because I talked about just driving in a straight line to the ball, for some people it might be easier with car cam. It might be worth trying.
He brought his own knives last week.
What's that?
He had his own.
Oh, that's right. He did have his own knives last week. Okay. All right. Get out of here. Go work.
All right, thank you. Wish me luck.
Have a good day, man. We'll see you later.
Have a nice day.
I will try. I'll be back at like 5:30 or 6.
Yeah, we should be home.
Yeah, if anyone wants me to go over what they're doing or have any specific questions, then let me know. And otherwise, we can maybe just move on to the last one, which is very fun for all the PC players, but sadly, the console players won't be able to take advantage of it.
What's this? This is back.
How many people in the lobby have Coco Aim Trainer, just out of curiosity?
I do.
All right, cool. So I will be giving you a shout for sure.
I have it.
Yeah, I got that.
All right, nice. Then
I don't have that. I don't know what that is.
yeah, it's a Steam Workshop map. I think you play on Steam, right, Fallen?
Yeah. No, I'm
Yeah.
on Epic.
Okay, yeah, but you know how to download the Steam Workshop maps, right?
Yeah,
My name
yeah.
crashed. I might have to close Bacchus mod. What is this? Yeah, I think I have to close my Bacchus mod, but that's fine. It doesn't really matter.
Is it a plugin or no? It's a map, right?
Yeah, it's just a map. Because I think if you've done any of the workshop maps, you know how to like do the storage and all that, right? But if not, you can just watch some of the other people doing it, and then we can work from there. Yeah. So for those of you that do have it, let's fire it up.
Aim training.
Bit annoying. There we go. So for this Coco Aim Trainer, we're just going to do the very nice and simple one. We're doing normal mode without any of these mutators on the side. We're just going to see some people doing the shots. So I'm going to take a look at good old Ender stream, see how Ender's doing on this.
Yeah, I'm not finding it on there.
So one of the things that we can see that Ender is doing, it's not necessarily a bad thing, but we want to try it. We're going to do this to add as much consistency as possible and not have to do like all these crazy maneuvers. So the most important thing for the Coco Aim Trainer is choosing a really good ground line that matches with where you want to hit the ball, and with that, with doing as very few inputs as possible, and then also striking the ball with a very good timing. And if you do that, you only have to press like 4 or 5 buttons. So we're going to try to keep it nice and simple. So for what a lot of people will be struggling with these kind of balls are the ones that are off to the side. So anything that is about like 30 degrees or greater are what people are going to struggle with. So I'm going to show you guys a few cool tricks on how we can make these shots more consistent. So for starters, because this ball is not that wide, what we want to be aiming for on the ball is slightly left of the center of the ball. And then you're going to see this happen. So when we're doing this properly, this is going to happen. And we're going to see that the ball and the target and the car are all three going to align. So this ground line is really important because it sets us up. And you see if I took the flip at the right time, doing this, we're going to see that all three line up again. So if for those of you that are looking for a bit more consistency, you can just practice this exercise. Choose a good ground line, and then just see if you can get all of three things to align properly. Oh, whoops. And then you see three again in line. And so what the game's telling you with this is that there is a timing inside of the game that allows you to actually make all three align properly. So with these middle targets, I think most people in this can actually just hit all the middle targets, and that's fine. So we're not going to really go over that too much. But what we really care about are these more sideways targets. And those are the ones where we can really get a lot of mileage from this specific workshop map. So I'm going to go to Shiva's stream. We're going to see Shiva doing it.
You said do normal?
Yeah, normal, no mutators. All right, let's take a look. All right, now we're getting the meat and potato. So yeah, one of the things that we're seeing Shiva doing is doing a lot of adjustments midair. And the most important thing for these really wide shots is the best ground line possible. And then for all the shots that are, let's say, outside of the middle of your field of vision when you start the level, all of those maps you can probably do with some kind of adjusted front flip. But for all the other ones, you probably want to be using your diagonal flip or maybe even a side flip. But I would prefer diagonal flip for the sake of consistency. Yeah, that's looking pretty good. Nice. So Shiva's doing one thing I like that's really intuitive. So this is really important to pick up on. So what Shiva's doing that's really crucial is that Shiva is timing his jumps really well. So when Shiva has a target that's pretty much on the ground, Shiva pre-jumps the ball bounce, and what that means is that he's counteracting any vertical momentum. And then for like the mid-level targets, Shiva generally does do a pretty good job of jumping at a similar timing as the ground bounce, which is also good. And then for the higher targets, what you have to be doing is jumping after the ball bounce in most cases. And that's where you get a lot of that lift. But then when you start combining, let's say, pre-jumping the bounce plus making sure that the ball goes really far to the left or right is where a lot of people are going to struggle with. And so one cool exercise that you can do that will really help this idea of choosing a good ground line, because you're going to intuitively do it, is I want to see some people firing some shots with car cam only. I'm curious to see how many people can do that.
Who are we watching, Mike?
I'm watching Shiva currently, and I'm probably going to go over to Uti's stream after this. Because you see, one of the adjustments that Shiva's made since I told him to start using car cam is he's really putting a lot of energy into looking at how he's moving on the ground. Because that movement on the ground is really what sets up your shot. And then obviously just the technical execution is pretty difficult when you can't really see exactly what's going on. You just have to work a lot off of memory. Where you're going to get the most mileage of this practice of using car cam for these shots is really just trusting the physics and trusting your timings and just remembering where the target was before you rip the shot. Just don't put too much focus on the shot and you should be okay. Yeah, that's almost looking better. All right, we're going to hop to Uti's stream. Yeah, looking good. One small thing as well that I want to highlight as we're looking at Uchi's stream is that you want to be very careful with being too linear on the speed of your approach, because the game only cares about you getting supersonic when you're flipping into the ball. So the entire run up doesn't actually matter. You don't have to be supersonic in the run up to get a very powerful shot. As long as you're supersonic when you press that dodge button, that's the only thing that matters at the end of the day. So you can definitely do some more crafty ways of like feathering your boost, or just slowing down a little bit more and then boosting a bit more midair when you see that timing. Yeah, nice try. We're seeing some adjustments as well. So what Uti is doing is he's doing a lot of calibration, which is really good. So he's trying to figure out what works and what doesn't work. And that's the most important thing, because what we see from how Uti did it is that he is testing and then he's readjusting, but he's not doing what I call a crapshoot, which is just randomly throwing himself at the ball. For this shot, Uti, try letting go of boost a little bit before you take the shot, and then just try to get the timing down of where you want to hit on the ball. Because I think most of your miss accuracy is coming from the timing of your shots.
It's so difficult when you have ball card cam on.
Yeah, it is difficult.
I never did that. It's actually fun. Oof. That one is
That was
too much.
Yeah, the double jump was a bit unfortunate. That's a good shot as well. Yeah, like we're seeing quite a good amount of improvement already coming from Uti. This is nice.
Yeah, I gotta agree. I didn't think it would be more difficult going car cam, but it's so different.
Yeah, but and then so after running a few of these car cam shots, try going back to ball cam and see if it changes any way that you're approaching the shot. Because that's what I'm curious about. Because for me, it does change. Like one of the things that the car cam teaches you for some of these shots is how wide you can go. So like when you're driving on the ground, you can practically whiff the ball on the ground, but your flip can do so much work for you that it can completely counteract the fact that you're whiffing it on the ground. But that whole movement on the ground that you're doing to try to whiff the ball to get better placement is actually just really important, and not enough people are doing it with ball cam on. What I see a lot with people that are using ball cam for the shots is that they're still driving a little bit too much towards the ball without realizing how much you can actually move away from the ball and still get a very nice bit of contact on it. But yeah, Uti's shots are looking really clean right now. He also hit a 6 streak. That should be number 4. Is he gonna get number 5? Easy. Oh, close.
Dang it.
Yeah, we're already seeing quite a bit of more consistency coming in from Uti as well, because you can definitely see that he's doing a more methodological approach of trying to figure out what works and what doesn't. I'll check one more stream, but if we have any questions in the meantime, would love to hear it. Oh yeah, Skitch, I'm gonna go to Steve's stream.
Hi, welcome back. Trying to practice air roll hitting with the corner.
Yeah.
Not really my forte. I usually do the whole pivot the car and shoot like that.
Yeah. 2 tips that I can give you based on what I'm seeing is try driving just a little bit more to the left off the start. And one thing that I would maybe recommend for some people to try and see if it works for them is when I do very small turns on a control stick and not on keyboard and mouse, is instead of using hard left and right on the control stick, I actually use the top part of the circle. So for anyone that doesn't use drive with forwards and backwards on the stick, you can actually just use the top part of your stick to make very, very small turns. So it's, again, a good tip for people with high sense, and that's what I do. So for these very fine adjustments on the ground for setting up the ground line, all I do is just use the top part of the ring. And then one other thing that I can give you as a tip, because you're doing air roll shots, Steve, is don't try to pre-fire your buttons or your stick inputs. So with pre-firing, what I mean is that you're trying to do the stick inputs before you're off the ground already. Because your movement looks a little bit janky, and for me, it looks like what you're doing is the stick inputs before you leave the ground.
All right.
You want to have like really nice and controlled inputs. And for this shot, I mean, considering that you're doing aerial shots, you can afford to go a little bit wider. And then you really want to be sniping that diagonal flip.
Yeah, so I'm trying to get used to the tilt away and then flip towards.
Are you using directional air roll or free air roll?
Free air roll for this?
Yeah. So for free air roll shots, what I do is, let's say for this shot, what I do is I probably put my stick at around 7 o'clock. So I just press free air roll 7 o'clock, and I get this nice tilt back on my car for the shot.
Oops. Oh.
Almost. There your timing was just a bit off, but the setup looked pretty good. And one thing that you have to keep in mind is you're jumping a little bit too late sometimes on your shots. You want to jump just a wee little bit earlier to make sure that you're not sniping the ceiling. You want to jump almost at the same timing as the ground bounce for this shot. Nice. For this shot, you have to pre-jump the ground bounce. That speaks for itself. Oh, this is a good one. Nice. Looks like it's in. Not quite.
Oh. No. Wish there was a button to go back to the one I was just working on.
So I want to show people one last thing, but I think for the sake of time, we're not going to go over it because I want to start doing the aerial stuff soon. But I would like to show people a different way of shooting, and then and what you guys do with it in your free time is completely up to you. So if everyone comes back to my stream, let me know, and then I'll show what I'm talking about. So what I'm talking about is learning how to pre-jump shots and then use your flip to get the timing to get the thing. So this is really good for open nets, but also for faking out opponents. So with a lot of the shots that people were doing, it was very linear. So like if I want to hit the ball high, I jump after the ball bounces, get that nice height. But when you're pre-jumping, it really gives you a completely different world of how to set up the shot. And the main way that you're controlling which part of the ball you're hitting is boosting midair. Maybe to a certain extent what you're doing in terms of like your car tilt, but more importantly, the flip is what really seals the deal in terms of where you're able to make contact on the ball, because the flip also adds a lot of forward momentum. So for people in their own free time, just try practicing shooting with the pre-jump, like very, very heavy pre-jump, and then still controlling your height very well. Because again, I think the best application is twofold. It's very good for 1v1 and open nets. I think, I don't know if Black Flame can attest to this. I don't know if this Black Flame is even still here.
Yeah, I'm here.
But do you use a lot of like these pre-jump shots that I'm talking about for open nets?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, and you also find it useful that it's very good at making sure you don't hit the crossbar.
It's good for like accuracy. Cause you're already lining up for it.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you for your input. So we've been here for quite a while, but it's actually not even too bad. I think we're pretty much on schedule, maybe just like 5 minutes behind. But for the last thing, we're going to be doing just a few aerial exercises, and then I think we will call it a day. And if anyone again has questions in the meantime, then please let yourself be heard. So inside of this voice chat, for people that maybe know the feature, is like you have this little text box in the voice channel that has its own specific chat. I put a custom training pack there that we can mess around with. It's just I want to use it to teach people some basic aerial shots, redirects, and some good technique for generating power, but also some precision. So if anyone has the training pack fired up, I would like to see some of the people do it.
I can't find the chat. Where's that?
So if you click on the Diamond Masterclass voice channel, you'll see that there's this tiny little text box with if you hover over it with your mouse.
Right.
And then you see an open chat.
Ah, I see. I got it.
Yeah, it's a very weird Discord feature.
Aerial redirects. It says Poquitos?
Yes.
Okay, I got it.
Yeah, so I'm going to be watching Ender Waves quickly. I want to see, for anyone that does have it, please disable Randomizer and Bacchus mod variants.
Not Bacchus. Okay.
So if you press F2 and go to custom training, you should be able to disable it.
Okay.
Enable.
You have to restart the training pack, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, I got it. Okay.
Automatic shuffle playlist, get rid of that. And also mirroring, I think, just to keep it simple so everyone's on the same page. And I think you have to restart the training pack, but then you should be good.
Yeah, cool.
All right, so I want to see you do shot 1. And we will do... Okay, yeah, shot 1 is pretty good, and shot 5. All right. What is... Can you press up on your D-pad? Because your shot 1 looks very different from mine. This is weird. I don't think the training pack got updated. You should be really close to the net for the first shot.
Are you doing the first pack, aerial redirects?
Yeah, first shot aerial redirects. Yeah, you might have to double check with Bacchus mod again, but otherwise I'm not 100% sure. In the meantime, I'll go check someone else's stream.
My first shot's very close as well.
Yeah. Excellent. So I'm on Shiva's stream right now, Mr. Skitch. All right. So think of this as a problem solving. So before you go gung ho, Mr. Shiva, think about what is the problem that we're seeing on the screen right now. Like if we're purely applying problem solving. I don't know.
It's not going towards the net.
Yeah, well, I mean, most of them are not going towards the net, but if we also want to, we don't just want to put this in the net. We also want to generate power. So, what's the main issue that we have right now from this position to generate power?
No build up. Like I've got no speed going into it.
Yeah, because you're in front of the ball, right? We want to send it to orange net, but we're in front of the ball. So, what is something that we could do to fix that?
Hit it with the corner of your nose.
Close. And if we think of it more from the physics aspect of the game, what do we have to do with our car to generate that power?
Get speed.
Yeah, so we have to get speed in the same direction as the ball, but how do we do that?
Flip into it.
Okay, you could do that, but we're going to say no flip for the time being. What would be the other option?
Hit it with the corner.
Kind of. Corner only gets power if you're also generating power in the same direction. So what we want to do with the first shot is we want to delay our approach and start building speed when we know that the ball is going in front. So when we build height at the start of the shot, what we want to do is we want to intentionally whiff the ball on our build-up. And then we want to just build a little bit of forward speed when the ball is moving in front of us, and then we're just going to get a very nice, powerful shot. And so Shiva's technically correct that in shot 1 you can use your flip to generate a lot of power, but I'm generating almost 0 forward speed, but I'm still getting a very powerful shot. Like that was 110 kph, I think.
Should I flip back to you, Mike, so you can show it? Because we've been watching Shiva.
Yep, sure. Yeah, so for people on the stream, very simple. Build verticality first. When the ball is going to start whiffing your car, that's when you know that you have to build forward speed. And that's just a very basic thing that you can do. Because we want to go in the same direction as the ball to maximize the power that we can get. But this shot is a bit limiting, though. But we're going to see some more spicy ones later. So let's give it a try again, Shiva. For the time being,
the randomizing thing.
Bacchus mod. If you go to F2 and custom training, are you good at flying without directional air roll? Because we want to keep it simple, Shiva.
Yeah.
Okay, so just fly up straight, like no funny inputs, and then just turn your car left when you want to start building speed with the ball. Nice. So yeah, maybe that's also one thing you can work on is more precise aerials. I think directional aerial, by the way, for the long run, really good idea. But I think the focusing on very clean lines is what you'd benefit now for the short term. Yeah, it's looking good. And then forward speed. So you're still flying a little bit too much to where the ball is. Okay, that's just a proper redirect. I like it. You wanna try to start moving with the ball when you feel like the ball is going to start crossing in front of your car. Because you're still moving a little bit too much to like create a line with the ball.
Oh wait, this is the wrong one.
Nice, that's a good shot. All right, we're gonna move on to shot 4 for those that are interested, because this one's gonna be a little bit more technical in terms of the prerequisites. So I'm gonna check Uti's stream when we see how he does shot 4. Your shot 4 is very different from mine.
I have different shot order. I don't know why. And I have turned off max mode completely. So.
Can you maybe press up on the D-pad? There's a shuffle shots. I think that might be the issue.
Oh.
So yeah. So now see if yeah, your shot 4 looks still very different from mine. The only thing.
Can you tell me yours and then I try to find it? Maybe you go someone else in the meantime.
Yeah.
What should shot 4 look like?
It's a ball that crosses in front of your car. Yeah, yours is a overhead redirect.
Yeah.
I'm gonna check maybe Fallen Justice. Yeah, Fallen Justice looks like the one that we should be having.
He's got the right one?
Yeah, good. Yeah, nice. So what Fallen Justice is doing really well, okay, he did it for the first 2 shots, is he's focusing a lot on the pacing. So which part of the ball are you aiming for when you're setting up this shot, Fallen?
Fallen, you're on mute if you...
Yeah, I know, I'm on mute. So I'm just aiming for that like bottom little, sweet spot, like right underneath the ball, just to get the pop with like the top of my car, like right on the hood.
Yeah, and for the first 2 attempts, for anyone that did see it, what Fallen did really well is he paced his car. So he's intentionally delaying where the ball's kind of going to whiff his car, and then he just builds the forward speed. So this shot 5 is going to be a little bit trickier. And also don't pre-jump. So like what you're doing is cheating, where you know what the ball's going to do before it's happening, but just try to do it like where you'd react to it in game. Yeah, nice. So you're just moving a little bit too much with the ball. You want to try to cross a little bit more from behind it. Yeah, nice. Perfect.
Oh, I pre-jump.
Yeah, looking a lot better. And there's a few things that you can do to let that ball cut in front of you from Fallen's perspective. So if you see that you're matching the ball to a certain extent, you can try turning a little bit left so that you cut more towards behind the ball, and then you use your aerial to adjust. But it's a bit more of a technical way of doing it. The other thing is you just slow down a little bit more on the ground and then build the forward speed in the air. Because this ball is not faster than the speed at which your car can travel. So you can try this one where you're building most of your forward speed in the air. Yeah, you maybe just build a little bit more on the ground, because you're also going quite late. It just depends on how fast. Yeah, so like this is a good base forward speed to have. Just and then try to go aim for a little bit more left on the ball, because you're aiming too much for the middle right now.
Oh, that was a good one. Yeah, that's hard. That's hard for me to cross the ball like that. Let's see. Okay, come on.
Yeah.
There we go. Oh no.
Close. Yeah, and you're also doing quite a lot of unnecessary inputs. When the ball's getting close to your car on the camera,
Yeah.
don't really focus too much on that, because you're gonna start doing inputs that you weren't gonna do before. Try to get the head in your, or how do you say, get the line in your head before you get really close to the ball, and just trust if that read that you had initially is correct, because the game doesn't change in that whole run up as long as you're not changing any inputs.
Okay.
The read that you had that you're going to hit the ball from 2 seconds ago is still going to apply if you don't do change anything. Yeah, looking pretty clean. Nice.
Yeah,
And you
that
see,
was
now you're
better.
doing
Yeah.
necessary adjustments.
It's like I'm simplifying instead. I was doing too much before.
Yeah. And the thing that I like about your last shot is that before you were going to make contact on the ball, you knew you were going to miss it. So you actually made that adjustment to make sure that you do hit it.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, now this is a bit more of a physics problem. So the problem with this ball that is it is going to be a little bit above the crossbar. So you do have to hit slightly above the center of the ball. So you have to change your calibration.
Okay. Nope. Ooh.
Are you on shot 6? Because I want to maybe show it to you, so just to give you a bit of inspiration. So shot 6 is actually also a pretty good one, because that's one that people struggle with.
I'm on shots 6 according to my.
Yeah, I'm on the same one. We have the exact same setup. So,
Okay.
Yeah. So what we have to factor two things with this ball is what is the ball doing when we're going to make contact with it. So it's generally falling lightly. You see when I'm starting to touch the ball, it's falling down lightly. But the other thing is, where is it on the map? And so it is still like a decent amount of height above the crossbar. So me just flying straight and even tilting my hitbox, it doesn't really help too much. So what we have to do is we have to build a little bit of goodwill on the height, and then we start boosting downwards a little bit to start forcing it down way.
Right.
Like that.
So I always think of it like, when there's like a ball in water, how it'll sink like halfway.
Yeah.
Or like there's that midpoint or whatever, like if you hit, like you got to get above that midpoint on the ball like you're doing and just hit it down. I just can't get I'm having a hard time getting up fast enough, I guess, to get behind it upside down. I'm too slow.
So I want you to pay attention to one detail on my stream quickly.
Yeah.
Is so when I'm going up, you see how I like if you look at where the center of my screen is, right? You see how it's the left side of the ball?
Uh-huh.
But then when I make that adjustment to start moving towards the ball, you see that my car can reach it. So like here, it looks like I'm kind of going to whiff it, but then when I make that adjustment, it will happen. So what I can do is like keep parity with the ball, build the height first, and then start moving my car sideways to do this.
Okay. So matching the speed in the air as well.
Yeah, exactly. Match the speed in the air. Put myself in a position where I should be able to touch it if I start tilting my car forward, kind of like to what you did with some of your shots. But then more importantly, I have to set myself up for a position where I can boost downwards just a little bit.
Just makes that first jump that much more important, the first adjustments, right?
Yeah. So like if fast aerialing is recommended to a certain extent here, if you really want to be able to send the ball more downwards, knowing how to fast aerial is probably advised. It just depends on how fast you attack the ball. So in your case, with how late you're going to be touching the ball, you could probably afford to hit slightly above center and not have to make too much adjustment.
Yeah.
I think for this shot as well, I don't know if I would do directional air roll for it. I'm doing it just because I can. But I think just to get because what we want to be doing for Diamond and Champ players is we want to have a vision in our head of how we want to execute the mechanic, like both in terms of like a line approach and a precision approach. And then when we know how to execute it with normal aerials, then we can start doing directional aerial.
Oh.
A little bit too pre-jumpy.
Yeah. No, that was bad.
Yeah, so there where you're not tilting your car back enough. So you can try try tilting your build a little bit of ground speed, tilt your car back a little bit more, and just see if you're actually matching. And then from there, tilt your car forwards or backwards based on what the game is telling you. Yeah, and now forward.
Oh, I missed it. Yeah, missed it there though. Yeah, I see what you're saying. It's just putting it into practice is a little bit. Nope. See, I was too slow.
Yeah, and this what you're doing right now is a bit of a timing exercise. So you're trying to create these lines that converge on each other. But
Right.
if you want to spice up this shot a little bit, where you have to flex your mechanics a bit more, you could try turning a bit more towards the ball on the spawn point.
Oh boy.
Yeah, so we're still on shot 6 for those that are trying to keep up. Yeah. Yep, you're just a little bit too early to the play, so you still have to delay your aerial a bit more. So you're probably what you're lacking right now is that you're not building enough height, or you're messing up a little bit on your ground setup. So yeah, just build a little bit more
Yeah,
height.
I always feel like I have a hard time double pressing X with my freaking old thumbs. You know, it's like it takes me a second longer than these youngins.
Yeah, but you don't have to double jump really fast. By the way, it has to be like a very rhythmic timing. It has to be bum bum.
Okay.
Because pressing it as fast as possible doesn't actually give you a lot of a benefit.
Okay. Okay. Oh, that was awful.
Yeah. So what you want to do if we're talking about technicality, is what you want to jump while holding boost, tilt back a little bit, and then execute your second jump. You can still hold your boost when you do the second jump. I don't know if you can reach it. You're seeing that your height now is actually looking a lot better, right?
Yeah.
So now with this in your toolkit, try turning a bit more towards the ball on the respawn.
Oh wow, that puts it at a way sharper.
Yeah, so maybe you just turned a little bit too much, but yeah. So you see that now we're seeing the height is really kicking in with what you're doing.
Oh, I messed up there though.
Yeah.
No.
All right, I've given you some food for thought.
Yeah.
I'm gonna check out Steve's stream quickly.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right.
Hello again.
Hello.
I'll go back to trying to score it. I was trying to be cute and see if I could get double touch off it.
Yeah, so far it's looking controlled. So you're going a little bit too low on the ball.
Close. To what?
You're going just a little bit too low on the ball. You want to just go a wee bit higher. Bang.
There we go.
There we go. Our advanced placement student is doing well.
I really like these kind of shots. That's why, because you can shoot them or you can try silly stuff like double touching. This would be unnecessary unless you're way higher than I'm ranked. Hey, what is this?
Yeah, it's fun. And the last thing that we're gonna do for the afternoon/evening is we're gonna do some basic double tap setup. Ooh. And then I think we'll call it a day. So I think if we want to summarize some of the stuff that we covered for this specific shot pack, is implementing problem solving is the #1 priority. You don't just throw yourself at the ball and see what works and what doesn't. Only do that if you're really lost, I think. But for the time being, just first try to focus the problem and think of 3 things. Where's the ball coming from? Where am I? Where's the net? And then from there, try to work out with the physics, how do you actually solve that problem? #2 is knowing how to whiff the ball to set yourself up in a position to actually be able to land the shot. I think that's a really important one as well. You can just copy and paste it and then should be able to click that little clipboard thing. I mean, if you want to type it out, be my guest. But yeah, so if we solve the problem of like randomized shots and all that, we can try shot #2 for double tap playground. And what I want to highlight as well before we get into the double tap stuff is that this is not stuff that you necessarily should be scoring in game, but we want to think about what this actually teaches us. So this is teaching us good aerial habits, but it's also teaching us how to plan multiple steps ahead. So we have to plan a first touch, and we have to plan a second touch, and this all requires a good amount of mastery of the basic car controls. So you want to mostly be focusing on two things when you're setting up for a double tap: is the precision of your first touch, but also the position where you set yourself up for recovery. So if people can check my stream quickly, I want to show you a few things on how to set up this double tap for shot 2. So number one, it depends a little bit on the shot style and the shot type, but one of the most important things for setting up a good double tap is setting yourself up to actually be able to recover with the ball. So I want to highlight what I just did there, which is really important. So when I'm doing my aerial, what I'm actually doing is, you guys can see, right, that I'm whiffing the ball when I'm setting up my aerial. But this is really important because I'm doing two things. I'm setting up because I have to hit low on the ball, but when I start pushing forward, you see that I recover in the same direction as the ball, and that's the most crucial part. Because if I take a straight line, like let's say I do this and I just try to double tap like this, then I'm setting up for a ceiling double tap, and that makes no sense. So this is really hard. But what I'm doing is I whiff the ball, and then when I flatten out my car like that, you see that I still make contact on the ball, but I'm actually putting it in a position where my car can recover. And just like that, I went 2 for 2 because I just did that one simple trick that scientists hate.
Are you holding?
Mike, I might have missed what you said earlier, but what do you mean by you're whiffing the ball in the air? You're purposely.
Yeah. So if we look at, I'll show just as a proof of concept. So when I'm doing this aerial that I was talking about, we see that I'm whiffing, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then what we're going to do is when we set this up, we're going to tilt our car forward. And then every single time that I'm doing that, it's putting myself in a position where I'm recovering with the ball.
Gotcha. So basically you're whiffing, but then you're adjusting with boost and able to make the correct shot. Okay.
Yeah, but the thing is that I am intentionally reading that I'm going to whiff the ball, because that part of the read is important to tell myself whether or not I'm setting up properly for a good double tap. Because if I take a line where I'm hitting the ball, I'm just going to set up more for an air dribble. You can still double tap off of it, by the way, don't get me wrong. But for those laser double taps or whatever you call it, you want to be setting up more for like a shot. And you also have to set yourself up where you can actually recover. And those are like the two most crucial things.
Do you need to hold aerial as you hit the ball?
Not necessarily. All you have to do is do some kind of an input. So in the case of the double taps that I do, all you have to do is hold forward. So when you're about to make contact with the ball, you hold forward just a little bit, and that should be enough to counteract any recoil that you'll get on the ball. Yeah, so I'm currently watching Steve. He's doing not a half bad job. Yeah.
You say that, then my next aerial, I almost missed the ball.
Yeah, but I would say be a little bit careful with the pre-jump. Like sometimes you're just instantly jumping off spawn. Yeah, so there you're kind of whiffing it. Then you just tilt your nose forward. So your line was telling you that you were going to hit the ball there, but you want to actually just set it up a little bit more aggressively where you're going to whiff, and then just tilt your nose forward when you're about to make contact on the ball. Yeah, so your line is still a little bit too focused on hitting the ball there. Yeah, and you're also maybe building a little bit too much ground speed for this setup. Yeah, and then forward. Yeah, nice. So you see the potential there, right? So just imagine that you did that forward tilt just a little bit later. So there you were just a bit too early, and then your car gets knocked down to the ground. Like that. There we go. And that's the first touch that we're looking for. And
hard not to cheat.
Yeah. And also a bit of a general tip, because this is something that I can hear on your stream, is try full boosting a little bit more at the start of your aerial, and then feathering more towards the end, because it's more boost efficient to use more boost at the start and then feather towards the end. Yeah, nice. And then ass touch finish, we like to see it. I'm gonna head over to Uti's stream, see how it's going with him. Yeah, Uti looks like he's already a pro at this. I like it. And there, yeah, he's implementing the touch the nose forward. Uti, can you randomly scroll through some of the maps? Just I want to see if you can get a nice one, or not the maps, but just some of the shots. Just keep scrolling, and I'll tell you when to stop. Stop. This is a fun one. I want to see you do this one. Yeah. So try building, do more or less what you're doing right now, just a little bit more ground speed. Yeah, nice. And there we go. The tilt forward into the shot attempt. Very nice attempt. Looking good. Yeah, just a little bit more verticality in your aerial. Yeah, like that. There we go. That was perfect. Okay, you barely missed it, but in my heart, that was in.
What stream are you watching?
He's doing a different shot because he can't get the randomizer to turn off. This is still a good one because it's combining some of the other stuff that we did.
I say I had to join free play to get mine to turn off, and then from free play join the training back.
Oh, that's really strange. I've never had that issue before. Keep in mind, Uti, that when you're striking the ball, that it is coming down a little bit. So you either have to generate just a little bit more vertical momentum, or you'd have to come a little bit more underneath the ball. It just kind of depends. But you do have to counteract some of the force of the ball falling down on you. So you just have to be slightly faster than the ball falling down on you. Very slightly, though. Yeah, that was almost a perfect first touch. I'm going to hop over to Shiva's stream, Mr. Skitch. Generally just looking good so far. Very methodical. All right, Shiva, too many free jumping. Did you get it to? Can we go to shot 2, Shiva? Okay, this is not right. This is a very hard one. Holy smokes. Skip this one. I'll just tell you when to stop with the skipping because this is all very difficult. We're going for ceiling recoveries. Can you skip this one as well? Just keep skipping until I say stop. No. Okay, this one is actually kind of doable. We'll try this one. So with this one, you want to be a little bit careful. You don't want to build too much forward speed on this one, Shiva. Just imagine that on the ground, you'd be going about half throttle speed. So yeah, nice, very good. Close. Because the way you're approaching the ball is a little bit better for the shot. So you could try just building a little bit more height first, then build the forward speed in the air and see if that helps you. Close. And aim a little bit lower on the ball. Close. I think if you want the ball to flatline a little bit where you can follow it better, Shiva, try having your car tilted a little bit more towards the ground. Your nose is tilted back just a little bit too much when you make contact. Close. And also for the first touch, no directional air roll. Yeah, now we see the potential. Like that was one that you could have scored. Ooh. And a little bit less forward speed. Yep. Just hit a little bit too low on the ball there. And maybe what will help you out, Shiva, try delaying your jump a bit more. Okay, first touch was almost perfect. In the meantime, I will check out... I don't really need to... I'll check Fallen's stream. You're on shot 2?
Yeah. Or at least what is my shot to you?
Yeah, this is about right. Let's take a look.
I'm not very good at this one, honestly.
Yeah, that's fine though. This is quite a tricky one, and one of the things that I want you to keep in mind when we set up for the first touch is when the ball starts getting really close to your camera, just don't freak out and just trust that the read that you had before is going to work. It's the same thing with the aerial. So I have
Okay.
making quite a lot of adjustments when the ball starts getting really close. And just stick to what your guns, because like the read that you're getting should be like confirmed before you touch the ball.
Okay.
Yeah. So almost a good first touch. Try being okay. Actually, still gets a double tap. Never mind. Forgive me. A little bit more verticality, and then start building a bit forward, more forward speed towards the end. Nice. Man's on the RLCS.
Fallen Justice. This is a diamond class, not a plat flip class, please.
Well, am I doing it wrong?
No, you did a plat flip. I was just.
Oh, I don't even know what I'm doing. Okay, wait.
I like this training because you can also let it bounce off the ground and slap it off the backboard and go for the double touch too.
Yep. It's really versatile, and that's one of the things I want to highlight as well with some of these things that we've been doing, is that as long as you have a lot of creativity in your training, there's so many ways that you can improve at the game.
Dang
Close.
it.
That was almost a perfect first touch.
Yeah. Oh, nope.
I think what we'll do is, because I think a lot of people are making pretty decent progress overall. Again, unless someone has any questions, then let me know. But I want to show one cool thing, and then I think we can just call it a day on the whole session.
Break.
So if people can quickly join my stream again, then I can show what I'm talking about. So I talked about earlier the whole fly in the air, whiff the ball, and then start nosing putting your nose towards the ball. But the reason why I highlighted that is because it's a physics based thing. So the general rule of thumb, and this might be easiest to just draw on the screen, is that if we have our car here, this is our really ugly looking Fennec from the side, is that the game calculates how much power you're generating based on like the alignment of your car in relation to the type of vector that you're taking, or we'll just call it like your flight path. So if let's say I'm flying in this direction with this arrow, but my car is aligned this way, I'm going to lose out on a lot of power, because that's just not how the game really works. I mean, you can still kind of get good power, but you have to touch the ball a very specific way. So I'll show you what I mean with doing the exact same shot, but then I just fly straight. So like my car is more or less aligned with my flight path, and you can kind of see how the ball flies, that I'm hitting it really hard. But one of the things that I'm doing with leveling my car out is I'm intentionally getting a weaker hit than I normally would, because my car is misaligned with the flight path that I'm taking. And that's generally what you want to be doing for a lot of double taps, is intentionally choose a different flight path from where your car is aligned to get the right type of thing. But the main reason why it works for this double tap is because for the recovery purposes. So by me tilting my nose forward, I'm intentionally recovering in the ball direction. Even though the fact that my car is still getting a lot of lift from my earlier aerial, It just happens to work out that way because it's just kind of like a system that happens to work together. But there is a physics reason for why this works. So you can do like for example, if I wanted to air dribble this off of this, I would probably do something like this and then get this touch here. And you see, like, I completely misaligned my car, but I did that to get a very weak touch. And so you can do all of that cool stuff if you're trying to train anything really. But just know that if you're going for shots and that you see that your car completely duds out, that's the reason why it's doing that. And yeah, the one last thing I want to say about double taps is even though you're diamond, I would say that it's fun to practice double taps because it keeps you really engaged, because it's like a multifaceted problem. And as long as you're applying the thought processes that I was trying to highlight in this session today, that you can make it work no matter what. Because I was watching Fallen Justice. Fallen Justice scored, I think, 2 double taps in a row. Legend of Steve easily was scoring double taps like it was nothing. But that's because like when you apply a system to it and you have like a reason of why you're trying to do stuff, it just works. And so as long as you're trusting the physics in your head of like, okay, I'm pretty sure the game works this way, and I want to try to do something reproducible, then it doesn't really matter what skill level you are because you're doing something with a purpose. So if you ever watch a YouTube video that says, okay, you're diamond, but you shouldn't be learning double taps, I would say it's a load of crap. It's like, if you know what you're doing and you know the game works, then just try it. It's a very fun exercise, and it helps you get a lot better at the game because you're doing 2 things at the same time. Yeah, with that said, I think we're towards the end of the session. A little bit over time, but I think that I'm really happy with how many people were engaged and keeping everyone busy. So I'm very happy with the turnout for today.
Yeah.
Oh man,
Thanks, Mike.
a lot. Thank
Appreciate
you
it.
so much. That's
Yeah,
really
appreciate it.
appreciated.
Definitely learned some stuff there.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's right.
Nice stream.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. And if anyone has any questions, feel free to DM me. Obviously, I'll do a coaching plug. I like to do coaching. Obviously, I do charge for it, but if you like the way I do things and explain things, you can always reach me out on the DMs. And yeah, and just generally, for people that have questions on getting better at the game, always feel free to ask me. I don't charge for that. I just like helping people get better at the game.
And I think it really did. You could see it, right? Just that
How
level
long
of
would it
dominance.
take to learn? What's the air roll called?
The directional air roll?
Yeah, directional air roll and speed flipping. If I wanted to learn those 2.
Speed flips are not too hard. I would say implementing them in game is a lot harder though. Just actually learning how to do a speed flip, you could learn it easily under an hour.
But how do you implement
speed flipping under pressure, and you're also like doing it where your car's face, like when you're driving away from the ball with car cam on, and then you try to speed flip when you're just learning it. That's really hard. You're gonna mess that up very fast. But the core speed flip itself under an hour, easy peasy. Directional air roll, that's gonna take you a lot longer. For me, I started learning it after 5,000 hours of gameplay, and it took me 2 weeks. And for you, who has been playing, I don't know how many hours, but I know that you're champ 2-ish with a certain amount of hours. My advice for directional air roll... Sorry?
A ton of hours.
Yeah.
I don't know the exact amount.
My advice for directional air roll for people who have, let's say, over 1,000 hours in the game, or 2,000, is less is more. So if you had, let's say, 10 hours to allocate, I would say you're better off like spending 30 to 45 minutes across multiple days on learning directional air roll than spending, let's say, 2 sessions of 5 hours. Because one of the things that I learned with learning directional air roll is that sleep is really good for helping you get better.
Yep.
It's so counterintuitive, and you just need to like mess around, it's like throwing the kitchen sink pretty much to see what works. And then at some point, you're going to remember the muscle memory inputs of what did work.
Nice.
How long did it take you to actually integrate the air rolling into gameplay, though?
I mean, for me, I was pretty bad about it, but I think it took me about 1.5 months or a month.
And what was that? Just you monkeying around, forcing it?
Yeah, so I mean, I probably shouldn't say this, but am I off stream, Sketch?
You are not, actually. If you want to wrap it up, give me a second. We'll close.
All right, I'm saying some anti-TOS stuff right now.
Okay. All right. Well, we're gonna wrap up the Twitch channel. I'm gonna raid the Rocket League channel because it's Genji versus FaZe finals for the NA Cup, and they've I think FaZe is up one game right now. So give me 1 minute to get that kicked off, and we'll end the stream, and then you can speak freely. But thanks again for doing this, Mike, and anyone on Twitch who isn't part of a Discord, feel free to join and get some more coaching tips directly from Mike. All right, bye everybody.
Thanks, man.
All right.